everybody, welcome back to the Claremont Classic Garage. We've got an indoor project to do now. The weather's going to be kind of sketchy this weekend, and there's a lot of great sports on TV. We've got NASCAR, trucks, Xfinity, and Cup at Circuit of the Americas. We've got the F1 race from Saudi Arabia tomorrow morning, and 2 Leaf games. So I'm going to be in front of the TV a lot. The TV is just around the corner there outside this room, so we're going to give our powder room a little freshen up over the next couple of days. We're going to paint the place. We're going to change the upper wall color a little bit. It's going to go more of a white. In fact, the same white that we put in the kitchen. And the wainscoting is going to stay pretty much the same color. Correct? Correct, she says. And the flooring is staying. And we're going to swap out the toilet. This thing is 20 years old. And we're going to change that freestanding, so what do they call that, a New York style sink? We bought a little vanity to replace that with. So I don't know if my shop dogs here are used to being with me when I'm working out in the shop, but I'm not quite sure if there's room for all 3 of us in this little room. We'll see how we make out. Anyway, let's get started. So the easy part of the job is done. We've gotten rid of all the bolt-ons, you know, switch plates, the medicine cabinet, towel racks, all that stuff. Now, what we've got left in here is the toilet and the sink. So lucky for us, we've got shut-off valves here. So we're going to shut that off. And then give it a good flush. And that'll empty the tank. Now you'll still, when you take the toilet out, there'll still be water in the trap. So beware of that. It'll come out, and you don't want to make a mess in your house, like if you got carpet or something like that. But that's at least got the tank empty. And luckily at our local transfer station, you can get rid of toilets for free. This will donate to the Reuse It Center because it's quite an interesting sink. I like this sink. Just doesn't fit with our needs anymore. So we're going to turn off these valves. We've got valves under here. And then we'll relieve the water pressure. Done. Hello. Hello, helper. Now we'll take the sink out. Just put a bucket underneath it because there will still be water in these lines. And leave the taps open, which they are. That'll let the water come out. There we go. We just kind of freshened this up already about a year ago. So there's not really any body work or anything to do in here. And then these... they should only be hand tight up in there. Should. Now we'll just get this thing off. It's just held on with this little clip. You just squeeze it and it comes off. That gets that handle away for the plug. Now, plumber's wrench. I'm amazed I even have one of these. And we'll take the trap apart. And this will have water in it too. And we'll just pull this down and get the water out of there. That's threaded on there, but it is seized up big time. Now there should be another nut under this, a scutcheon. A scutcheon. There's your word for the day. Can you say it with me? A scutcheon. Yeah. I'm no plumber. Nice. That was rotted off. Look at that. We were this close to a major plumbing disaster here. Piece of junk. So that is not brass. It's chrome-plated tin, which rotted. The sink is just held to the wall with a couple of lag bolts. And there's the sink, free from the wall. I'll just have to get a pair of channel locks and get this nut off of here and get that little hunk of pipe out of the wall. Close call, but we got this thing out of the wall. So this will be scrap of metal. Now I can go about getting the toilet out. I'll tidy this up first. Now we get the toilet out of here. Pretty simple. Now, same like the sink, we're going to get a little water because there will be water in this line. That's okay. So you just undo it there. Every toilet's different. Some of them, you just have to look at what your connection is and deal with it. And then this has got, this line goes over to here. We got that line out of here. So you can't do this with every toilet, but on this one, you can take the tank off. So it's going to the dump anyway, so everything we can do to make it easier to get this thing out of here, we'll do. Normally, if I was just taking this out for a repaint or something, I would not take the tank off because I'm scared I would make it leak when I put it back on, but it's coming off, well, for keeps this time, so. Now, I think it's just those two. I think it's just those two bolts that hold it on. Let's find out. I guess I was correct. So it's just bolted to the floor. It's got two studs and nuts. Hopefully on yours they'll come out. This one, lucky for us, it came out. But everything is brass, so it doesn't get stuck. So it will be stuck to the wax seal that's under there. So we'll have to get it up off the floor without spilling too much water. There we go. And then you just gently tip it back. You'll lose some water, but you'll get rid of a lot of it. That's why we took the tank off. There we go. Get rid of the rest of the water into our bucket. This so far, I hope you're proud of me out there in Claremont Classic Garage Land, because this is the least mess I've ever made in my life taking out a toilet. And at least it's a toilet from my own house. It's really something when you move into your new house and you're taking out somebody else's toilet. That is gross. Last step now, we just got to get the old wax seal up. So your bolts, you'll get new ones with your new wax seal. These are T-bolts. So they just, you can see here, they slide into that slot. So you just push it along back into there and out it comes. What we're going to do now is tape up our drain and our closet flange. If you're going to have this, open for an extended period of time, go to your home improvement store. You can actually buy a proper cap that's made for that. But we're talking just literally less than 48 hours. So we're going to tape it up. And we're on a septic. It's not like in the city when you're on the sewers. You don't get that stink and the gas and stuff coming up. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen, but here in this house, that's not something I'm familiar with. Now with that done, what we're going to do is get a bucket of warm water with some TSP in it and wash down all the walls, and that will kind of etch it a little bit. It'll prepare it for recoating. And before I start washing the walls, I'm going to tape up all the switches and outlets. Only other thing I got to do is we got to lay some painter's caulking in here, because the stuff that was there, I don't know, the quarter round has shrunk a bit or the caulking shrunk a bit. Anyway, we'll get this fixed up. This is the only spot. The rest of the room is fine. Now I'm going to just grab one of these things and give this a little scuff. It'll take off any little high spots and just kind of scrape it up a little bit so the new paint will stick. That's all you gotta do, just like that. Not that I'm a professional painter or anything like that, but I get by. Alright, I've got my weapons here. I've got my edging thing. I've got 2 different size rollers, and I've got my paintbrush for edging here. So we're gonna, first I'm gonna do this wall. I'm gonna cut this wall and paint it, then I'll cut that wall and paint it. That's normally when we paint, I go around and cut, and Deb is behind me with the roller, but this little room is just too small for 2 people to be in here. It'll turn bad. It just has the potential for disaster. So this is gonna be a 1-person paint job. So we're moving right along here. I'm getting the first coat of paint on the walls. You can see here how we're lightening it up. This is the same wall color as out there in the kitchen. When we redid the kitchen last year, we just kind of gave it a freshen up, a new coat of paint, and changed some cabinets around and stuff. We did in here too, but it was in the middle of a COVID lockdown, and we couldn't really go out and shop for paint. So we just went in the basement and mixed up a bunch of crap that we had and came up with the colors that were in here. We came up with that for the top and that for the bottom, but there was no more of it. And with changing the vanity, or changing the sink for a vanity and swapping up the toilet, we just thought, well, we got everything out of here. We'll splash on a fresh coat of paint, even though it's only been a year. So anyway, I'll finish this up, and then we'll let it sit, I guess, till the morning and give it another coat. We've got our second coat on the upper walls, so we'll let that dry for a little while, and then we will get 2 coats of paint on the wainscoting and trim. Now we're doing the trim, and you can see it's a slightly different color. It's got a little more, maybe a little more yellow to it, but a couple of coats in this and it'll look fantastic in here. We got the first coat of this stuff on, and I'm really liking how the 2 colors jive with each other. It is a little different. It's got a little more, like Deb says, a little more life than the old color. But like I said, the old stuff was just, we were grabbing cans of paint downstairs and mix this with that and that. Anyway, these are actual colors. So it looks good. We'll let this dry and then throw another coat on and go from there. There's the second coat done on the trim. So we'll leave it sit overnight, and in the morning we can start putting it all back together. Now we can install our new toilet. First we have to install the T-bolts in the closet flange. I noticed my old ones that I took out were 5/16 bolts, and these ones are 1/4. Man, they find every place they can to cut a corner. But different from my old one, this one actually has these little threaded retainers to hold the bolts there, which is kind of nice. In the old days, you used to have to just kind of balance them there and hope they stayed straight. So you want to get them just kind of basically on center. Just like that. Now we're going to install the wax seal. Yeah. Oh, it's not that bad. It's not gross yet. Okay. So we want to install this thing this way with the plastic facing toward us, so that the plastic goes over the closet flange like that. I've never done it this way before. I've always put the wax seal there, but they want me to stick it to the toilet, so we'll try it that way. We'll do it their way. So you can see down the holes where the little studs are, and then you just kind of, once it's over the wax seal, you just use the weight of your body to squish it down, and you just kind of rock her down until the toilet is stuck on the floor. It might take a few minutes, especially if the wax seal has been out in your cold truck and you brought it in your warm house. All right, so these are what holds it down. In the old days, you used to get, well, the old toilet, we had like brass nuts holding it up. But me, being a Mopar guy, that's a Dodge sign, right? I like that. So we just screw them down, and it says hand tighten only. Well, how tight are you going to make it? It's plastic. So we'll tighten them down. And I can see the back of this thing is still up a tiny bit. So I'll get these tightened down some, and then sit on it some more, and then tighten them some more, and then sit on it some more until I get it right down on the floor. Now I can put the tank on. This gasket fits over this big nut here. That's our tank to bowl gasket. And then we put it over, and it's held down by these here two screws. Oh, make sure the screws look through the holes. Yep. Okay, and then we have a little plastic washer and a nut. Then we use this fantastic tool they gave us to tighten up these nuts. I think they give you a plastic tool to make sure you don't tighten them too much, because you don't want to break anything. And basically we're just tightening that foam seal. We're squashing it between the tank and the bowl. And the screws that come through from the tank have a rubber grommet that you need to squish the screw against to seal the bottom of the tank. So you just want to pull these down until you can feel the tank kind of get tight. It's got touch points here that it'll stop rocking. That's when it's tight enough. Looks like we'll be able to reuse our original riser with I just tweaked the bends in it a little bit. And we can go ahead and install that. It's got a compression fitting on this end that goes to the wall. All right, this end is you just tighten it finger tight against a rubber seal. So now the moment of truth. We can turn the water on and see what happens. There it goes. Well, the tank is filling up. And you can see the bowl filling up. Once it's filled up, we have to check that the water level is correct, and you can't see it now, but in the foam liner there's a scribed line across, and it is exactly perfect. So now, we'll see what happens. Are you ready? It says it can flush 12 golf balls down. I don't know if I'll ever need to flush golf balls down it, but let's see what it can do. Okay, that's your kind of little flush. We'll let it fill back up, then we'll do a big flush. So after the first flush, which is just a quick kind of flick flush, it flushed and the water came right back up to the level. That will do a full, a big flush. Seems okay. Now we can get the vanity installed. It's one of these ones, it's a vanity in the box. And of course, it's pre-made. They don't know what kind of house it's going in, but I guess they didn't understand that some people actually have baseboards and quarter rounds in their house, so we had to do a number on the back legs. But that's okay, it'll all be hidden once it's installed. We've got the cabinet installed. We had to take a notch out of the bottom of that leg to fit around the quarter round too, but that's okay. It's all good. And we got it leveled and we got it screwed to the wall. So what we're going to do now, we're going to go around the top of it with a bead of adhesive caulk. Make sure it says kitchen and bath adhesive caulk. That's the stuff you want to use. And we're going to drop the vanity top on here. Normally we would build the tap and the drain and everything up, build that up into the sink kind of on the bench before we put it in here, so we're not having to But this one's a little awkward to get in because of it being against the wall here. So I will build it up in place. And then we just drop it down on there and get it right where we want it. We want it kind of centered. There we go. And you just push her down and let it sit there a couple of hours and this stuff will cure up. We've got our tap installed. It's a Moen Zarina. It's Deb's favorite bathroom tap. We have them upstairs too. And the hookups, the lines are a little bit long, but that's okay. We just twirl them around and they hook up. Better than too short, eh? Now we're going to put the drain in. So the drain has got a couple of different seals. It's got this seal at the bottom, which actually stops the drain from dripping into the cabinet. All this mastic around here does is to stop it leaking past there if you've got the plug pulled. And then you can see here that and that are connected together. So if your sink wants to overflow, the overflow will go in there through the internal passage and come out in there. And you can see that hole in between these two seals. Out it goes. So anyway, we got a lot of dum-dum on here and we're just going to kind of squish that into there. And then I'm going to put a little soap on this seal. So I put a little dish soap on both sides of that gasket. And then we will feed her up. First thing we're going to do is get it threaded into there. And tightened up. Just bottom it out in there. And then we're going to make sure that we've got the ball socket for the ball socket for the drain lever pointing to the back. And then we're going to tighten up this lower nut until everything is good and tight in there. We pulled off the mastic that spewed out from around there. Now we can put the plug mechanism together. So in down there, there's a little bung that sticks out. So this thing goes through into the drain like this and operates the plug. So there we are. After swearing and cursing, and when you get this linkage all together, our plug works. Now we have to build up the P-trap and connect it to the drain. Fast trip to the hardware store for a P-trap kit. And now it's time. We're going to open the water valves and see what happens. Okay, first the hot. No drips. Now the cold. No drips, I hope. Yeah, good and dry. All right, let's turn it on. And we'll let that run for a minute and see if we get any drips. We'll also fill it up and make sure that overflow drain works. All right, well, we're getting there. Oh, all right, there goes the first water over the edge. Well, I can hear water going down the drain, and there's nothing in the cupboards. It doesn't look like the tap can give enough water to completely cover that emergency drain, so I guess that means it works properly, right? Now we're going to find out how our drain is. All good? Perfect. Well, there we go. We've got our last little details done. We've got our pictures hung back up on the wall. These are all photos that we took around on our own place here. There's our geese with their little ones, and the ducks, they nest here every year. And our little woodpecker. we saw him one day. Here's a cabinet that my dad fixed up for us a long time ago. It used to be white and it had a mirror in it, so we changed it up a bit. We changed the mirror to this grooved panel and painted it with this. This is kind of an accent green. You'll see it in little spots throughout our house. It's kind of ties different rooms together. But I guess that'll do it for now. So there you go. That's a 3-day powder room refresh. I want to thank you for tuning in, and hope you'll tune in again to see what we're up to next on the Claremont Classic Garage. So long for now.